Hello everybody, it's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having a great start to your weekend. I hope that things went well for you over the course of the week. If not, remember what I always say, if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight, stand up, square your shoulders, get back in. It's not over yet. Keep pushing. If you're still in the fight, you still win. You still can win. Don't ever give up. Don't ever quit. This weekend is a very special weekend. It's the beginning of April, but it's also a very strong push in our fundraising campaign for the Odyssey project with our multiple programs that you're aware of, our research center, our think tank, Black Men Lead, our program for abused girls and women, mental health programs, all of the energy, effort, time, and resources we put into disseminating my work, my findings, the things that we need to get out in the way of information, insight, news, inspiration, instruction, all of that stuff comes at a price. We need your support. I cannot emphasize this enough. We've got to get to a point. I'm just going to be very candid in what I have to say here. We've got to get to a point to where we are just as committed to supporting the grassroots efforts of organizations that are actually pouring into the community as we are in trying to live a life that's being pushed on us that represents their idea of success. While our communities go to shambles, while our children are being targeted in so many different ways, our children are being targeted in the academic process, they're being targeted for all type of propagandized messages from their gender expression to how they're supposed to see themselves, the Eurocentric idea of what's beautiful, the Eurocentric idea of what's classy. All of these things are being pushed, and we're just simply adapting and acclimating. I once heard Dr. Umar Johnson say that white supremacy is absolutely nothing without black compliance. And compliance isn't simply saying, I concede, or I'm going to get in line, or I'll do it. Compliance is any participation outside of what is absolutely necessary that strengthens the very system that is pulling you back. When we spend unnecessarily, and I'll give you a prime example. And I harp on this a lot because it's amazing to me. I was just talking to a client who's extremely successful, and we often talk about the fact that for years when she has drifted off of her Toyota, it's for a more upgraded Toyota called a Lexus, and that she's right now driving a Highlander, and she is worth over $1 million. And the studies show, got a little caught up, the studies show that the number one vehicle driven by millionaires is actually a Toyota. But with whites having a substantial head start and lead on us in wealth building, they have a household median wealth of $177,000. We have it of $17,000 or less. We buy double the amount of Mercedes-Benzes that they buy, because that represents a symbol of something we don't actually possess, and that's true success and power. Success isn't about what you can buy. Success is about what you can control. Success is about the things that you are able to move on and act on that benefit you without having to ask someone to do it. If you don't control the outcome of your life without having to go in and ask this, if you can't even take off because your child is sick without getting permission from your boss, that's not success. Does that need to be structured in anything? And this isn't taking a shot at anybody with a job. This is saying there's a way to acquire power. And the thing is, when you acquire power, there are people who have jobs that don't look like us, that lay the ground rules of how their employers are going to deal with them. It's an exercise in power. Now, there are some black people who do this, but it's not enough of us who are exercising that power, because not enough of us are practicing the principles that produce that power. My my goal has been from day one to not only identify the multitudinous mechanisms and machinations at play in holding black people back, in pushing black people down, in harming black people, in oppressing black people, but to come up with the solutions. I'm not one about wanting to gripe about all the things that are wrong without having a solution. I've been working on blueprints for empowerment. I have worked on programs that help reverse the negative impact of environmental stress on children and young adults. I mean, I'm talking about work that can literally change the landscape and increase life expectancy for blacks, especially black males who have dropped another 3 years in life expectancy in the last 5 years. We have a lot of work to do. We don't even understand the implications, and I've done a great deal of work trying to present to you and show you the health implications that are associated with the micro and not so micro, the micro and macro aggressions of all forms of racial discrimination, especially in the areas of serial forced displacement. There's so much that we need to understand. You can't do something about a problem you don't understand. How often have you heard me say, we struggle and we suffer because we don't know how things work? And here we are again. We have an opportunity to move in a way that can strengthen us by way of knowledge, by way of understanding, by way of strategy, by way of agenda, by way of protocols. But we're not doing what it takes to get there. We are far too casual in a situation in which our very lives and future depend upon it. We really and truly have been sold a bill of goods that has us convinced that there's some moral standard that we can appeal to that eventually will realize that we actually are telling the truth about this suffrage that we're experiencing, and that something is going to be done about it. And the truth of the matter is, the ones you are appealing to already know it. They benefit from it. And as long as they're benefiting from it, they're not going to do anything to change it. Also, we have to understand that in no way are we going to send our children to schools where the largest population of teachers are middle-aged white women in a school system designed by white people, and expect that our black children are going to be educated into power to compete with theirs. First of all, the system is screwed from jump. It's a horrible system. It's a horrible way to teach. It's a horrible way to empower kids, first and foremost, regardless of race. Then when you throw in the racial mechanisms and the disproportionality at which black boys are criminalized, black boys are referred to special education, and so much more, you start to see just how nefarious the structure and intent of the academic system is aimed specifically at young boys. They will allow space for young girls to be fluid. Matter of fact, black women are the most educated and advancing intellectuals in this country on a per capita. Obviously, there are more white women than black women, but per capita, black women are getting it on. The problem is black women only make up one part of what goes on, and black women cannot alone properly prepare our children. They know this. They handicap the protector. They handicap the protector and then and point the finger at the protector for failing to protect. And don't get me wrong, we got some black men out there doing some real trife type stuff. And I call that stuff out. I call it out, and I will always call it out. There's no room for that. And in Black Men Lead, we approach that. There are just certain things that is absolutely unacceptable from a black man. And so I'm not making excuses, but what I am saying is we've got to come to an understanding of how we're getting where we're at. We can talk about how evil something is all day long. A person wasn't born evil. How did that person get there? What processes took place that is consistently producing that type of behavior? These aren't anomalies. And no, the black man isn't naturally violent. The black man isn't naturally. Now, there are some genetic, epigenetic predispositions, but it's not to that type of violence. There's some hypervigilance. There's some bent towards depression and other things because it simply is a part of the genetic pass down. I've written on that. I've lectured on that. I've even lectured in epigenetics on cancer. This stuff is real, and we are taking it lightly, and we're only looking at a part of it. I didn't get the job, or that person called me the N-word, and that's not real racism. Not getting the job is discrimination. But I'm talking about things that are at the very fiber of this country, statutes and practices that are carried out in almost every walk and area of life, in the grocery store, at the bank, anywhere you go, it's practice. We're looked at and viewed differently when we're pulled over by police officers. That is the truth. You cannot deny it. Ignoring it and denying it, it will not change it. So you got all these different things, and we are not preparing ourselves. We're not empowering ourselves. We're not pouring into strategies and principles and organizations that are boots on the ground. You know, and I've partnered with some of these people because we're trying to get some things done. And somebody told me something that actually kept me in the game because I was really frustrated. And you probably remember when I shut things down for a week. But they told me, said, something is better than nothing. And it's kind of funny, I was dealing with something else completely separate from it, and that person said the same thing to me, something's better than nothing. And so I started realizing we can't sit back and not do anything because we can't do as much as we want to. So every day I wake up, and a part of that day is dedicated to my people. Obviously, I have to work and do things because that's how I support myself, my family, and my passion of working in this community, because we don't get the support outside of that. Not with any consistency. $10 here, $20 there, every now and then a $50 donation. And I'm talking, you know, that might be over the course of a month. You might get $10 here, $20 there, maybe a $50 donation. One child takes that up in less than a day. And so much other that needs to be done. And this isn't me complaining, this is me being real. We cannot win this war with that type of approach to it. Well, let the ones who want to do it. We'll sit back and we'll clap our hands for them. But we're going to sit back here, man, I'm going to the concert, man, I'm going to the game, man, and all that stuff. You got a right to do all that. You worked your ass off. But if we're going to talk about really, truly making black progress, we're going to talk about black pride, we're going to talk about black empowerment, a part of that is sacrificing some part of you. I do it every day. Some part is sacrificing a part of you so that the whole can prosper. That's how you build. That's how you build a family. That's how you build a community. That's how you build a race. Look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I got to run in the gym real quick and grab something. And then I got another errand I have to run. But I really and truly needed to drop this on you. So again, I'm asking you to look in the description box. Click the link and give. Here's what happens. Anybody who donates $100 or more will get a copy of one of my books, either Born in Captivity, The Undoing of the African American Mind, Academic Apartheid, and or The War on Black Wealth, and any one that you choose. But those are the ones I thought that are recent and very relevant to the things that are happening right now. A bunch of the things I predicted years ago, we're seeing it unfold, and it could have been, a lot of it could be prevented in the scope of what we're going to experience and what we're dealing with. Some things are just going to happen. It's a part of a cycle. It's a historical cycle, but how we fare in it is how dependent upon how prepared we are. And right now we're not prepared. So again, I'm challenging you to give. I'm going to be pushing this for the entire weekend. My goal is to raise $10,000, which is a fraction of what's needed and necessary. But again, something is better than nothing. That's my motto from right now. Something is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing in what I'm able to do in the community. Something is better than nothing in what I'm able to raise to facilitate it. And then we'll do whatever we can out of whatever we got to make some more stuff happen. But it's all better than not doing anything at all. And I think that's where we start. We start with saying, I'm not just going to sit here because I can't do it all. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to leave it all out on the field. I'm gonna die on E. So my legacy is going to be written. I would love to see it have done more with a unified front of joint forces, but I can only do what I can do. On that note, I'm out of here. I thank you guys in advance. You have a wonderful day.